like to welcome everybody out to the inaugural Cash Sports Media video podcast, whatever you want to call it. We're going to discuss some sports topics here, and local and national. We'll start off with the Utah State basketball team, which is still playing basketball in mid-March. Broke their postseason losing streak by winning in the first and second round of the CIT tournament. Not obviously the most prestigious tournament, but the Aggies could get to 20 wins with a win on Wednesday. What do you guys think about that?
I'm pretty impressed by this Aggie team. They had every right to quit mid-season, and I think they've shown why the fans still come out and support them. Is that this team doesn't quit, and kudos to Stu Morrill and the rest of the team to making the adaptation. And I think they're playing well. I mean, this is one of the longest winning streaks they've had in a while.
Most definitely, I'd agree with that, and I just think it's kind of ironic and funny that in the year they have a miserable record, they win their first postseason game in a long time.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that I've tried to remind Aggie fans about this year is that there's been some rumblings about Stu Morrill. One bad season in 13 years, and all of a sudden it's time to go. And really, people need to remember what this team was supposed to be and what it is now. We had Antonio Bumpus, who was going to be a starter and played in the blue and white game, injured last year and sat out all last year, and then got hurt again and ended up leaving the program. Brady Jardine goes down with a season-ending injury in the third game of the season. Stephen Thornton doesn't see eye to eye with the coaches, and he leaves the program. And he was a starter against BYU and had some athletic plays, made Sports Center this year. And that's not even including players like Anthony DiLoretto, and I think it was Norvell Arnold is his name, who were expected to make contributions this year and didn't make it to the team because of legal troubles. And so we pull Danny Berger off of a red shirt. We got Jordan Stone playing some minutes when he was probably expected to red shirt. And this could end up being a 20-win team. And they were competitive in pretty much all of their WAC games, even the ones they lost. So I think this goes to show really what a great coach Stu Morrill is, even in a down year.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's just been an interesting season, and a lot of fans need to realize that the season's not over. You hear a lot of people talking about, well, they're going to be really good next year because of the experience, like you mentioned, of Berger and some of these guys. But this season's not over yet, and Aggie fans need to recognize that.
Yeah, it may only be the CIT, the collegeinvitational.com tournament, but Utah State's still playing basketball. BYU, Utah, Weber State, can't say that right now. The Aggies host Loyola Marymount Wednesday at 7 p.m., and if they win that game, they'll play the winner of Rice or Oakland, and if they win that, they'll be in the championship game. So, I mean, they could get to 22 wins and put a nice end to a season that's had its ups and downs, but good momentum going into next year.
Do you like the Aggies odds going into Wednesday?
I do. I read this morning that they opened up they're going to let all the students into the game for free, so that and with the students being back from spring break, that should help out a lot with the kind of the small crowds that have been there for the CIT tournament games so far. And I mean, the Aggies at home, they're playing well. Brock Heath Payne had a career high 11 assists, only one turnover last game. Keyshawn's playing more aggressive. They certainly look like a team that wants to keep their season going, and I think they will do so at home Wednesday night.
Yeah, this team's been great at home. It's where they really struggle on the road this season, I think.
So we'll move on to the next topic. We're going to talk about the Skyview baseball team. They've started the season 3-0 and outscored their opponents so far 35-2, and that includes wins of 20-1 and 12-0. A big part of that has been Jason Alverson at the plate. He is almost perfect this season, almost batting 1,000. He's had a couple home runs. He's almost batted for the cycle twice. Certainly been a big part of that, but they've had some excellent pitching as well, and they look like a good team early on here.
You got to recognize this team is with a first-year coach in Brady Pond, and up in northern Utah, and talking with Brady, this past couple weeks, they're glad that they're putting together such good spring baseball, And Region 5 is known for its competitiveness in all sports. Kudos to Coach Bond. Northern Utah teams don't usually get out and start playing very early, and most of these wins have been on the road, away from home. And this is the first time these kids are out on the field, so it's been pretty impressive. And I think they're making a statement as the team to beat in the region.
Definitely. Any thoughts, Curtis?
Jason Alverson, the little I know about him, he's definitely impressive. Just most people know his brother Casey from the basketball team.
They're actually not.
Oh, they're not related. My mistake then. I thought they were. I thought they were brothers. But no, I know nothing about Jason Alverson. But I don't care what league you're in. 35-2 in baseball. That's just outstanding.
Yeah, they're definitely on a tear right now, and we'll have a better idea once they get into region. But they've played some decent teams, or at least 5A schools in Northridge and things like that. So they look like they could certainly be the team to beat in Region 5 this year.
They might even, I won't be as bold to say that they could run for the state title, but depending on how they do in region, I think that's definitely in their future.
Yeah, we'll definitely have a better idea of that, a few weeks down the road here.
Definitely still early in the season. So
have to keep an eye on them for sure. Next topic, we wanted to move out of the Valley and into some national topics, and we'll let our resident Broncos fan here, Curtis, start us off with. We heard this morning that looks like Peyton Manning is going to be headed to Denver.
No, so I'm not sure quite what to think about yet, but I'll take it. Peyton Manning's definitely a better quarterback than Tim Tebow is, so I'm sure Bronco Nation might be a little bit torn between losing Tebow and picking up Manning, but I do expect a little bit more success from the Broncos with Peyton Manning at the helm than they did with Tim Tebow.
I think if there's one person that could have dethroned Tim Tebow in Denver, it is Peyton Manning. I think it was an awkward situation for the Manning front office where they had Tim Tebow, who the guy wins, but he's had his you take your side on Tim Tebow. I think this is the only way that Tebow could have been essentially dethroned at that spot, and I think that John Elway and that front office deserves a lot of credit for landing a catch as Manning. One thing I worry about is the all-in factor. I think they're going to clean house in the free agent market now. I think they'll go after Jeff Saturday and some of those guys, but more interesting thing to kind of think about is where's Tebow going to end up. I don't know if all their backup quarterbacks are gone in Denver, and so it'll be interesting to see who they get for the future, as Peyton probably only has a couple years left.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little bit surprised that the Broncos won out in this one. When it was coming down to Tennessee and San Francisco and Denver, I thought that the Broncos had a decent chance, but I really saw him going to Tennessee. He played his college ball there. His wife's from Tennessee. He has a house there. They've got a great running back in Chris Johnson and a pretty decent defense. And it would give him the chance, not that this is necessarily something that he thinks about, but it would give him the chance to play the Colts twice a year and be in that division. So I really thought when it was all said and done, he was going to go to Tennessee. Denver is mile high. And, he's going to be outside. He's played in the Dome his whole career. So it was just a little bit of a surprise. And then the Tebow aspect as well, hearing that the Denver's going to look to trade him immediately. Like you said, they're low on quarterbacks now. And Manning probably only has 3, maybe 5 good years left. So why not let Tebow learn from someone as great as Peyton Manning and see what he could do a few years down the road under Manning's tutelage. It certainly looks like could be some more Super Bowl runs, possible AFC championships coming to Denver. All right, for our final topic of the day, we're going to take a look here at March Madness and just discuss what's been going on in the tournament. Obviously, some big upsets in the early rounds. First time ever 2 15 seeds have defeated 2 seeds, and that happened in the same day after not happening for like 11 years.
Yeah, I think it happened within like 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. A lot of bracket busting going on, including mine. I picked Missouri to win out. So That was a little disappointing, but the interesting stat was I think there's 3 brackets out of 60-something million that have the correct 16 teams currently. So March Madness has always come through for us.
Yeah, I mean, we saw the 15 seeds go down yesterday. Lehigh put up a good fight. But even still, we have Ohio, who was a 13 seed in the Sweet 16. NC State is an 11 seed.
Xavier's a 10 seed.
Xavier's a 10 seed. So we got a lot of high seeds that made it this year. It's been an interesting tournament, especially after the first day looked pretty bland. We had the one upset of VCU over Wichita State, which I think most people didn't even really consider an upset.
A lot of people picked that to happen, so I don't know if you can consider that an upset.
Certainly.
I don't know how much of it has to do with seeding. I thought the committee always does a pretty good job, but I thought the seeding was interesting this year in the fact that Wichita State, a team like them, got a 5. It seemed like they kind of sometimes set up those 12-5 upsets on purpose, and I think that was one of them this year. I'll tell you though, you mentioned Ohio. That state, they've really come through in the tournament. It'll be kind of interesting to see that the state of basketball has moved to Ohio. So
Cincinnati, Xavier, Ohio, and Ohio State. So it should be good. So out of the teams left, who do you guys see making a run to the Final Four, winning it all?
I can't see anyone stopping Kentucky in the South region. They're just too strong. Watching them, they have the size, athleticism, the talent. They just blow by anybody. I don't think they'll see a real threat until the Final Four when they face who I think will be Michigan State. But I don't see anyone.
I got to tell you, Baylor looked impressive in their highlighter uniforms and on the court. They looked good. I think they will challenge a few people. I think the sleepers to watch are Marquette and coming out of the Big East. I think they played really well. They slipped one past Murray State, which was a great game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
I'm just glad Duke's out, to be honest.
and he may not see this, but I got to give a good shout out to our boy Tony Jones, because his Hoyas are no longer in the tournament field. And as a Syracuse graduate, it's good to see them, represent the Big East when the Hoyas just can't step up to the plate.
I do feel bad for the Hoyas, though. 4 straight years they've lost on March 18th.
Yes, yeah. Tony made good note of that on Facebook yesterday. He saw it coming.
Yeah, got to feel bad for them and Vanderbilt too, losing to double-digit seeds multiple years in a row.
Your guys' thoughts on the NC State-Kansas matchup going forward?
I watched off and on. NC State played Carolina in the ACC title game, and they've come on at the end of the year here, and I really think they got a good chance. Kansas nearly got upset yesterday, and NC State, if they keep playing well, they got Leslie inside who's on a roll, and if they can get their 3-point shots falling, they got a decent chance to pull the upset there. But frankly, the way they're playing right now, I don't see anybody beating North Carolina in that region. They were the preseason number 1, and they're starting to look like it a little bit.
I agree. I think the committee kind of gave them a little extra help in the bracketology, but you mentioned Syracuse. Their close game that they had that first round. A lot of people have been out there criticizing, lane violations and those kind of things, and I find it interesting that people are complaining about rules being enforced. But I will admit, where is that during the season? And I don't know if there's controversy going on, or if there's a higher expectation during tournament time that refs feel like they need to enforce certain rules. What do you guys think?
Well, I'll say this because I'm a certified official, and so I was one of those people. That I was kind of critical of the officials in the Syracuse-UNC Asheville game. After I went back and looked at some of the rules, especially differences in rules from college to NBA, every single call they've made in both that game and there's the other lane violations that were called in which game was it? I'm trying to remember.
There was a couple of them.
There's been a couple lane violations called. Those calls have been absolutely 100% correct. When I think fans a lot of the time think they know the rule like I did. But if we don't know the actual technical rule, then we can't really jaw about it. And when I learned the official rule, you can't argue with those calls. They were 100% correct. A lot of people don't realize the shooter and everyone behind the three-point line cannot move till the ball hits the rim, whereas everyone else can go on the release. So by rule, those were lane violations and the correct call in all those situations.
There you go, certified official.
Going back to the Qs real quick before we wrap it up here, I just want to touch on them. After that game and after they lost Fab Melo for the tournament, a lot of people wrote them off, and I certainly changed my bracket. I had them winning it all, and I did not have them doing quite that well, though I did have them going to the Elite Eight in most of my brackets, I think falling to Ohio State. But the way they rebounded against Kansas State, and not like actual rebounded, but played better as a team. Deion Waiters stepping up, Chris Joseph stepping up. They have a lot of talent and a deep team that they could still make a run. I don't know that they have the interior presence to beat Kentucky, a team like Kentucky who's just big and can rebound well inside. But they might surprise a little people even without Fat Melo.
Do you think that UNC Asheville game kind of served as a wake-up call for them?
Well, I think it definitely helped anytime you have a close game like that in the 1-16 or 2-15, any of those higher seeds. It's going to certainly wake up your team because we're going to see a 16 seed beat a 1 seed. The talent gap is closing. Like we talked about, we saw 2 15 seeds win this year, but at the same time, on any given day, a team can win. But on a day-in, day-out basis, those teams like Syracuse are going to be better than the UNC Asheville. They're overall a better team, and if that serves as a wake-up call, they're going to play up to their ability. Hopefully, in the games going forward.
Yeah, I think style of play has a lot to do with it, and depth of a team. And there's a lot of teams out there that have a lot of depth.
So, I think that's it for us today here at Cash Sports Media. Tune in next week, and we'll go over some more topics. Possibly touch on the tournament again, and hopefully the Aggies are still playing some basketball.